Okay, so the way that it works, this is the Gin and Tonic show, and what we do every week, because we try and keep it to 2 hours, okay? So what we do in the beginning, we do the definitions, which I've just done, define why we do this and why we talk about Islam. Then we have a video of the week, we have misconception of the week, we have the news which happened in the last week, we have a topic for this week, and we have a hadith of the week, and then hopefully we can have some nice discussions. Now, the hadith of the week originally was supposed to be Al-Asr, but I'm sure if he sees what Ike has come up with, he will excuse that we are not taking his hadith this week, but that we're taking a different version. So this is going to be a surprise at the end, and I tell you, it's going to be really worth seeing the surprise of the week. The surprise hadith of the week, I think it's hilarious. But I mean, maybe I've got a warped sense of humor, so it appeals to my sense of humor. Okay, video of the week. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, but there used to be a group of people called LDM, called London Dawah Movement, who became active, and then they got mentoring, tutoring, training by a Greek or ex-Greek guy and blah, blah, blah. So a convert to Islam called Hamza Tzortzis, and he trained them. I mean, he knows very little, but the little he knows, he used to train them, apparently. And then they made these ridiculous short videos. And then I got hold of them, and I had fun taking them apart. And then after a while, they stopped, because every time they came up with a video, I immediately, I was just shredding them to shreds. And then they stopped. And then 2 weeks ago, suddenly they're back. But not as LDM anymore, but now it's GDM. Now it's a sales outlet from Aira. Because now all the materials, all the logos, everything is from Aira, and Hamza Tzortzis is there himself. So he doesn't rely on others to do the work for him. He is now sitting, and then different people are co-hosting with him. And this is, I mean, if you want to be entertained, you need to watch this. I mean, these are really, really funny. The video of the week is Imran Hussain, one of the guys from LDM, and he published a Facebook video on Imran Hussain Dawah /videos. And there he says, brothers and sisters, an important message in regards to the online Dawah movement and a call to action. Make sure to watch and share. And he's almost crying. And he blames his own stupidity and incompetence on atheists. On the people who now critique his videos, which is Essence and me. So instead of bringing, some valid and compelling points, he asks for clicks, because he's asking Muslims to like him and subscribe, and as though it improves the really childish and incoherent messages which they put out on their channel at the moment. So instead of bringing something to the table which is substantial and says, well, here's some real arguments, he says, no, atoms, and this is his argument, I mean, atoms are handmade by his God and then individually assembled. And which is why me as the person, I was designed to think with my brain. And Hussein was designed to think with his heart. Now, the heart can't think. So what does that make Hussein? It makes him useless. But this is what his God does. And he can't see that. And he can't see that, for example, clouds are not arranged, but follow laws of physics and are still, they follow patterns or arrange themselves or into patterns. And these patterns we may find pleasing, but they're random patterns. And this is the same thing what happens with atoms. Atoms assemble themselves. And sometimes you get a cat, and sometimes you get a cat of whatever. And sometimes you get a brain. And because brains evolve, then you get humans. Oh, I see it in the background. That Ike has managed to find.
Is it this video? Do you mean this one?
This one, yeah. I mean, it's hilarious because it's always the same thing when they start with the ritualistic mumbling in the beginning, and Allah needs to bless me and bless you, and hope that He allows me to play the video now, and blah blah blah. I mean, it's hilarious. But if you really want to have some fun, go and watch the GDM, or what's it? Is it still GDM? I can't remember. No. Sorry, it's is it Mission Dawah or Dawah Mission or something like that? Just go there and just watch this. It's hilarious, really. It's so funny what these two guys are doing. I mean, this is really mental masturbation at its best. And they will never come here and discuss this, okay? They will never say, well, actually, this is what we think, and this is what our motivation is, and this is what it's Mission Dawah, okay? And this is how the whole thing works, and blah blah blah. I mean, this is the guy, this Hamza guy, okay? He's the one who says, you as the atheist, you cannot understand the universe. I mean, come on. Does he understand the universe? No, he has no clue. He thinks there's fine-tuning at work, and he thinks that stars are little lights and ornaments in the solid firmament which is held up by invisible pillars, because that's what the Quran says. And then he goes and says, well, you know, and the Quran says, well, you need to go and get information, and you need to learn, and you need to learn about nature. No, it doesn't. The Quran only says learn about the Quran. That's why I made the entire video called Knowledge is Haram, because in Islam it doesn't tell you to go and get knowledge. That they have to fabricate things like, even if, you know, get knowledge, even if it means you have to go to China. It's a fabricated idiom or hadith or whatever this was. So anyway, this is really funny.
I have a question. Why is this fine-tuning argument any good? I mean, wouldn't it be more of a miracle if the whole world would be a tomato or a potato, and still people can live on it?
Well, the thing is, it's actually quite good, and I'll have to cite Dr. Sean Carroll here, because it plays by the rules. You have a model. You have a model with variables, you have data, you can show something. You actually have something. You can say, okay, we have gravity. And we know that on Earth, that gravity here is 9.82 meters per second squared. And so you have real numbers, and you really have something. And this is why it can be compelling. I mean, it's so wrong and it's so stupid because it's so obviously false, but at least in the beginning, you have a point, and then once you go into the details and you show, okay, number one, it's a stupid argument. I mean, there's so many things which are wrong with this. And the first thing is, why would a God require fine-tuning? Can't he get it right the first time? Is this an incompetent God, or does he tinker with stuff until it works? And you know, there's so many stupid questions. I mean, it's such a ridiculous argument, but. Does that answer your question?
What I mean is, if God is all powerful, he doesn't need fine tuning at all. He could make the Earth special, like outstanding of the gravity laws, or
he could make
or
it
near the sun,
and it would still work. Of course, yes.
Or beside the sun, and everything else will be burned, but only the Earth not, and so that human can't figure it out what's going on. This doesn't make sense. So it must be a God.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Quite the opposite.
And
that's the fine-tuning.
Well, the other thing is then if you go into the arguments themselves, okay, and you look at the argument is that it's so fine-tuned that it supports life. But what does life mean? I mean, life, okay, on this planet is based on carbon and there's a whole lot of parameters that go with it, but in other places it's not. So, you know, it could be something completely different, but they don't specify anything. They don't define life. They don't define anything. So it doesn't work. I mean, it fails if you just think about it. All it takes is both brain cells working simultaneously, and you'll see that it doesn't work, but they're not capable of doing that. Anyway, I see that GPZ is there, and as usual, he's going to just sit there and type instead of doing something constructive. Let's kick off with the news. Now, what I have today is I've got 7 items here, ranging from hilarious, stoning, then Musa Rashid, welfare and benefits in the UK, hate speech, long dresses not enough, and equal rights in Syria. So let's start with the first one, hilarious. And we kick off on a somewhat funny note this time. Because we have Ramadan, okay? I've explained last time what Ramadan is, so I'm not going to do that again. It still goes on until the moon disappears, until the light of the moon settles and just disappears. Oh, by the way, the fine-tuning, by the way, I found this a very fascinating argument. How come that the moon is exactly the right size and exactly the right distance that it covers exactly the sun? When we have an eclipse.
It does not.
And
it does not.
It
not
does,
always.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is quite funny because number one, it doesn't, and number two, well, there are coincidences in this world, you know. Like sometimes you see the word Allah written in the sky by the clouds, but that's coincidence too. So shit happens. Yeah. Okay, so Ramadan leaves people a lot of time to watch TV. And a show in KSA, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there's a show called Selfie, which is raking in a record following, and believe it or not, with satire. And they're not shying away from the Saudi family and Daesh. Now, I've been to some of these shows, okay, and really, they are funny. And the people, and of course, I mean, you don't have public places where you can go and have these because women and men need to be separated. There needs to be control and order. So they do these in hotels. So they go from, you know, the large auditoriums and hotels, and then their people can sit how they want. And they're genuinely funny, and they are quite heavy. I mean, sometimes I think they was like, wow, I mean, this is quite daring that they are allowed to say these things. Anyway, so these people make themselves unpopular by airing sketches like a Saudi man secretly going to Syria to bring back his son, who joined Daesh. And this son can't stand violence, and he's being chased around the bed by a jihadi bride, and he doesn't like this because he's gay, and anything and everything is mocked. So far without consequences. So they really touch very highly sensitive issues. They even have, you know, two friends sitting at a table at an airport who start arguing because they find out, they've been friends for a while, and this is at an airport, and they find out the one is Sunni and the other one is Shia. And they finally get arrested when they start fighting. And when cops hear the reason for their fight, which is a religious discrepancy, which happened 1400 years ago, they don't send them to jail, but they're sent to the loony bin. So the authors call this a struggle, a jihad, to raise awareness for issues and make people address them, like how extremists and fundamentalists manipulate Islam. So let's hope it stays this way, and I thought this is quite funny. Any comment from anybody about this loony thing that you're allowed to do something like this in Saudi? No comments. Okay. Let's go to a less funny and less hilarious thing, and that is stoning. Because a Muslim has managed to demonstrate the morality, the inherent morality, of the fundamentals of the Islamic faith. He helped stoning his own daughter to death because she made love to another man, and where it turned out that this other man was married. So this made her guilty of adultery, and because the Islamic God is weak and impotent, human beings had to kill her in the name of this God without a name. And they did not execute her quickly for making love to another man, but slowly tortured her to death by throwing stones at her, one at a time. And this is a method, this was 1,000 years ago. It doesn't fit into a civilized society in the 21st century. Come on, we're supposed to be more sophisticated. And yet we still use these methods of torture from 1,000 years ago.
2 questions. Stop. Can I 2 questions here? How old was she?
I don't know.
And was it 1,000 years ago better method than today? If you say it doesn't fit today.
No,
Did it
what
fit?
I'm saying is people
Last day.
look, there was a day or there was a time when it was, just primitive, brutal force. If you were stronger, you were right. So if you had the club and the others didn't have the club, you reigned supreme and you were the boss. And that's the way it used to work. Today, it's a little bit different because today we have intellectual capabilities which people didn't have 100,000 years ago. And the transition from the human being 100,000 years ago to the human being today is quite, quite a big one. So where I say we are sophisticated today in our laws, in our ways of handling these things, we don't use the club anymore. We use courts. And yet these people still stone people to death, which they did 1,000 years ago.
Well, I don't agree with this because
I'm not saying
we
it was
use
right
just
1,000 years ago, okay? That's definitely
no,
not
no.
it.
I mean, today we still use weapons and way worse weapons, like nuclear weapons, like tanks, like guns. So the violence, I think, is still the same. We just use different weapons.
Yeah, okay, this is... Yes, it is true. I just think that... All right, then maybe my wishful thinking is that it shouldn't be like that. I think we shouldn't... Okay, but it's not in general that we stone people to death. Come on, if we execute people... who was it? In Iran, they hang. In the States, it's either electricity or an injection, right? I don't think they have hanging and decapitation anymore. So there are things like we don't have slavery anymore. And I think there is some progress in our, civilized environment. At least I hope so. So, anyway, should Muslims be able to criticize other Muslims for stoning another human being to death? Why is it impossible for Muslims to do so? That's what I don't understand. Should a man be allowed to walk around Parliament in London waving an IS flag? I don't know.
Why not? If he wants to show that he is a stupid human, let him be.
Because I don't know, isn't the flag a symbol of oppression? I don't know. What is this? I don't know if the flag represents something.
It represent the country, nation. So oppression, no, because when you look in the UN, there you have like what is it, 80 or more flags, and they don't oppress. Just show that they are nations there. So
Okay.
I don't think
what about the
it's
Confederate flag?
they don't oppress. They are oppressed. That's quite the opposite, I think.
Yeah, but the Confederate flag is for me a symbol of oppression because they stand exactly for slavery and for the ancient ways. That's exactly the...
Sure, yeah. If you look at the mentality, at the ideology, what's behind the flag, okay. But I mean, they can't oppress because of the legal side in the whole nation. So, yeah, they can wave it, but what does that mean? Just that they have a stupid mentality, maybe. But does it do anything? Not really, I think.
My question was, if you look at stoning, now there's different things that Muslims do, all right? So should Muslims, like any Muslim, like the guy around the corner and blah, 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 should he be able to criticize another Muslim for stoning a human being to death? Now, I asked hundreds of Muslims, is it possible, or do you personally and categorically criticize and condemn a Muslim stoning a woman to death? And you know how many of these people went, well, we don't know what the woman did, well, it's punishment, and you never know what happened. And there is, it's very difficult. Very few people manage to categorically condemn a Muslim who stoned another human being to death. And that I find is horrible. And then the question is, ISIS is propagating this. Daesh are saying we stone people to death, all right? And this is where this man was doing it, and the father stones his own daughter to death. And this is Daesh. Now, how can a man take the flag representing this Daesh and walk around outside Parliament in London? Is that something? Like, this is why I was coming to the Confederate flag. The Confederate flag was banned in the US because it's a symbol of oppression, because they still stand for the old ways of slavery and stuff like that. So the flag was banned in the US and was taken down, and that's the end of that one. There was a lot of protest, by the way. But now I'm asking...
Was it banned? No,
yeah,
was it banned?
Put it outside in a public building anymore.
Yeah, a public building, but I mean, if you have it done in your own yard, I think nobody can.
No, but it's public. The country itself is not allowed to propagate slavery. And now, is the ISIS, is the Daesh flag representative of Daesh? And this is why I'm asking: is it okay to walk around with a Daesh flag?
Well, because they are forming a state, and people can't do anything about it outside from Mesopotamia. Probably they can't deny the whole thing at the moment. They don't know what to do with it. So maybe they have to just tolerate it right now.
Okay, but what is the main goal, and what is the modus operandi of Daesh in their territory? It's only one thing, and that is violence.
Yeah, good. Okay, the violence thing, let that be the violence thing. But at the moment, they are trying to forming the state, and if they somehow manage a state and that it get recognized by international agreement somehow, I mean, what can you do then? Nothing anymore. Okay, even if they have slavery.
Can you walk around with their flag?
Yeah, because I mean it's a flag. How can you can't put somebody in jail for that, or you can't do anything.
Okay, this is what I'm asking. Is it really free speech if you go around and you wave a flag propagating violence and torture? This is exactly the question. Because for me, I'm not sure if I wouldn't say, okay, this is an exception and this is the limit of free speech. This is the same thing as saying, I want you to go and kill somebody. And this is where...
Well, okay, but if you just say, I want you to go and kill somebody, that is something you want, and you don't order him, go and kill somebody. I just want it. Do what you want. I just want that. So you can't really...
Daesh says you need to kill everybody who does not think what you think. And this is why I'm thinking the flag is thus the representative of Daesh. So this flag for me says, hang on, this is the only thing that you can do, and that is kill, kill, kill. That is why I do not know if that is now the border where I personally draw the line and say, no, hang on. This is a symbol, and it is representative of an oppressive regime, and therefore shouldn't. Yeah, but then you're right. I mean, why not North Korea? Then would I stop somebody walking around with the flag of North Korea?
Same with the Saudi Arabia flag, and the Saudi Arabia flag has also the swords in the flag, so they clearly propagate something violent and oppressed in the state. So, but neither the USA, neither the UK, neither the Switzerland, neither France, neither Germany does anything against that. So it would be somehow hypocritical to act like Daesh is something new evil, because we already have this and didn't do anything about such a regime. It's just a new regime with another region, I think.
Okay, I think I need to change my mind on this one then. Yeah. Okay, thanks for the update. Yep. Let's turn to the next one. Musa Rashid. Does anybody know Musa Rashid? I'm asking, does anybody know? There's hardly anybody here. There's like 5 people here. And on Vaughan, you can't see how many people are live. It says live viewers, 0. But Ace is there, Pretty Apostate is there, Vitzehulle is there, and it says 0 people are here. So you people who are there, you're not really there.
7 people. 7 people are live viewers.
Oh, really? I can only see 0.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
7 viewers and 3 registered, logged in.
So how come I can't see that?
I only know about Rashid. The name means the ruler, because that's my family name. So more I can say about the name.
Okay. Well, Musa Rashid is the son of Adnan, Rashid Adnan. I don't know why they have Rashid Adnan and then Musa Rashid. Why he's not called Rashid Musa or Musa? I don't know. I don't know what is the first name and what is the family name. What is it? I don't know how they work with the names. But now Musa Rashid has now stepped out into the limelight. I mean, we all know this creepy guy Adnan Rashid, okay, and his boundless demonstration of mindless stupidity. And I mean, he is really, really dumb. Why is your screen flickering? Oh, now it's back. Hang on, it was flickering. Now, the son, Musa, has decided that he's going to have a career on YouTube as a Dawah-gandist, as somebody delivering Dawah, and this is going to be his job. That's all he's going to do. So he's going to be just another professional Muslim, earning money, deceiving his fellow human beings. And that is what he thinks is the best way to spend his life, this short interim period here on earth before he goes off into his mansion in heaven. Now, I mean, that's nothing new or spectacular, okay? But what is fascinating in my eyes is that this son is now putting on videos where he shares a stage with known extremists like Pierre Vogel in Germany, who is a persona non grata in many countries due to his hate preaching. So it looks as though Musa, this guy will soon start recruiting for Daesh or go there to do his Muslimic duty for the self-appointed caliph. I mean, it's good riddance, I mean, as far as I'm concerned. But how can somebody who is, I don't know if he's 17 or 18 or something, I mean, he's a kid. And he is now opening a YouTube channel and spouting even more nonsense than his dad. And then he goes off into Germany and records himself next to Pierre Vogel. And this guy is really a real heavy hitter in the fundamentalist scene, let's call it that. I mean, everybody knows that he's a Salafi and that he really goes crazy. So this is very strange that somebody will do that voluntarily. Would anybody want their children to do something like this? Amazing. Okay, then we get to welfare and benefits in the UK. Another guy who does nothing but distribute propaganda and corrupt young people is somebody called Al-Sibai, the guy who apparently radicalized Jihadi John and then mentored Rezgui, the kid who killed the tourists in their swimming costumes in Tunisia last week. And the man, I mean, he was somebody who said it's a great victory when talking about the 7/7 terrorist attacks in London, and says, it's beneath me to be interviewed by you. You are a woman. And this guy, he gets something like £50,000 a year living in the UK from the very society who tolerate his intolerance and pay him well for being intolerant. And he lives in a house which is like $1 million in pounds and does nothing except try and destroy democracy in the UK. And they pay him for that. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. What I find chilling is that half the Muslims in the UK would actually support Daesh if they would open a political party in the UK. And I don't know if you heard about this poll, because they have millions. Well, they put a number of 42 million Muslims see Daesh as somewhat positive. How's that possible? But then I can't even understand people who voluntarily join an army, I mean, as a job. So I don't understand how millions of Muslims can see anything positive in Daesh. I don't understand how they can see the actions and activities as being in line with Islam and for Islam, and that these Muslims say, yes, this is something almost positive. This is, I don't know, I'm speechless when I see statements like that, and when I see results like this. This is when I think, come on. I mean, Islam really does not fit into the 21st century. But what are people trying to do? Where am I? I mean, where is this going? Where is Europe going? I mean, that's amazing. And then we get onto hate speech, because again in UK, I don't know if you remember, there was a CNN interview where a representative of a group called Cage went and said, well, Jihadi John is a nice guy, and he was radicalized by the police and by being interrogated. And this radicalized him so that he killed people. And he thought this was quite normal. It was a natural thing, and that Jihadi John was actually quite a nice guy, gentle guy, and that he went into killing these people. That's down to the UK society. Anyway, and this Cage, they call themselves an advocacy organization working to empower communities impacted by the war on terror. I don't know what that actually means. I think that what they're trying to say, I think they're trying to make it ambiguous, where they were saying on the one hand it's a group providing Muslims with arguments why they should fight the war on terror, and then at the same time they're trying to justify the war on terror, saying that maybe they need it because, come on, all the Muslims say that terror is not part of Islam, so they should fight it. So I don't know what this is. Anyway, they invited a preacher called Abu Qatada to give some lectures in the UK. Now, this Abu Qatada, he was deported from the UK, and this court case cost them like £1.5 million UK pounds a few years ago. And now they let him into the UK to do the various hate speeches. And I don't know, that leaves me speechless. What are they trying to do? How can they deport a guy and then say, you want to come back and talk about your version of Islam? Yeah, sure. Pull in. Just come and deliver your speeches. I thought that's absolutely amazing. Oh, goodness. Okay, and this was the horrible part. Now we're getting to the lighter part again. There's only 2.5 pieces left. One is long dresses are not enough. Because, I mean, in Colombia, I don't know if you heard this, thousands embrace the no pants day in Colombia, because they have a day when they go outside and they don't wear pants. And this is a big joke, and everybody enjoys it, and they have a party, and then they go home. That's it. So they had a party. Now, in Morocco, it's a little bit different. Now, in Morocco, which is also like, highly dependent on tourism and things like that, and this is a country where women have been wearing dresses for decades. Okay, they've never been uptight like in KSA or in Iran or places like that, or Syria. But now 2 British women were arrested and sent to jail because they were dressed in a very respectable fashion. But a man in a market in a tourist town accused them of being immoral, and accused them of being dressed wrong. And this constitutes a crime of public obscenity in Morocco, because they were wearing long dresses, but they were not completely covered. And this is now considered public obscenity in Morocco, and this can get them jailed for up to 2 years. Now that's amazing. And I don't understand how people expect anything to happen if people go on holiday and they get shot, and then if that doesn't happen, they go to jail, even if they wear long dresses. And they're not, because I know in Afghanistan, for example, all women who go there have to go and cover, because there's nothing else is acceptable there. So, and then you have equal rights for women in Syria. Isn't that wonderful? Because women in Syria are the lucky ones, as they're now treated equal to men, because there's a new training camp which puts women through the same training routines as men. They have to go through obstacle courses, and they have to shout Islamic slogans, sentences from the Quran, and are given, of course, the weapon of choice for all terrorists, the AK-47. They can't really handle it. The video is quite funny, because they had not only the report, but also they showed how these women were being. I think this is just propaganda, because the women didn't even know how to hold this thing. The only difference is they're dressed like ninjas, okay, wearing a black niqab which covers their bodies completely, and Yazidi women are not so lucky. They don't get trained in killing, they get raped. And there's a report in the Sunday Express where Yazidi women are being raped in public by several men, just to make them understand that they are less than Muslims. And I don't understand. And I don't understand one bit how can any sane man get an erection under these circumstances? Okay, this for me is sick. It doesn't work. I don't understand how this is possible. Okay, and then
maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason why in some Muslim major countries, the porn sites, the analytics of porn sites, they use are with sodomites and bestiality, the highest.
Yes, I've heard about that. I think I've done this, and I've put this into one or two of my videos, where well, is there such a thing as sickest porn, or the sickest sexual deviations being searched for come from Muslim majority countries like Pakistan. And this is quite heavy, and like animal sex and young boy sex and things like that, they come from Indonesia and places like that. It's quite funny. No, sorry, it's not funny. It's actually sick. It's despicable. No, but what I can't understand is, I mean, a man who wants to rape a woman needs to get an erection. Now, how do you get an erection if you see a woman screaming and definitely not wanting to have sex with you? How does your brain work to provide the hormones necessary for a physical reaction? Erection. I don't understand.
Well, they maybe go with the saying, if a woman says no, she means yes.
Well, if she's screaming, kicking, and struggling, I think there's a limit to what yes is.
That means for them, she wanted even more, maybe, in their heads.
I don't know. I cannot understand it. Maybe some men have this, but for me, it's unbelievable. I mean, I've had women get angry with me because they said, okay, no sex tonight, and they changed their minds, and I said, girl, that's what it's going to be, because I don't want you to be angry with me tomorrow. And they were angry with me that I didn't change my mind when they did. But, I mean, that's the way that it works. So I don't understand this. Anyway, the last item I have is the sadness and the anger when I look at Srebrenica, because there was an anniversary, and I must admit, I know nothing about this. I was not in Europe, and I can't even remember where I was, but there was no coverage at all. I think I was in the States. Is this 95 or something? Yeah, then I was in the States. And there was no coverage. This was just, there is something happening in Yugoslavia, because I remember I was in Slovenia, in Ljubljana, I think one of the prettiest capitals on the planet, but I never went to the other places. And I didn't really know what was going on. And I heard that there was a war and that people were fighting, and then I heard that Karadzic went to trials and things like that. But I never really knew about this. The only thing I think I do know is that the US actually went and rescued thousands of Muslims and got them out of there so that they weren't killed by I think it was the Serbs. But anyway, so now the people are going to Srebrenica and saying, yeah, this was this genocide, and this was the Muslim Holocaust, and this is what terrible things were done to the poor Muslims and things like that. And of course, this, I mean, one of the most idiotic females I know, this Miriam Serra, François Serra, she now made a video saying that she went to Srebrenica, but I never got past the 5-second mark because I think she's simply too stupid. So does anybody have any information on what happened? Nike, do you, for example, I mean, do you know anything about this?
Well, not much. I mean, I know a little bit about the whole Yugoslavia war, and because my parents are from Kosovo, and I was 1 year prior to the war in Kosovo, last time in Kosovo at all, and the problem I have personally is that the whole intervention about Yugoslavia and the war it's very the same like in Iraq, and how the war started to really kick it off, because in Germany the one minister, I forgot the name, told in a public speaking to the press, he showed a picture of dead bodies and told them, look what the Yugoslavia policemen did to the Kosovo population, and there were like 12 or so dead bodies seen in the picture. But what he didn't told the press and the whole public, that these 12 men who were dead were killed by the police because they were attacked, because the police were attacked by these men. And for the press, they took the whole weapons away from these 12 or so men, and then just made a picture of the dead bodies and said, look how evil Yugoslavia is. And sure, the whole thing started many years before, because some wanted the liberty and declared a state by themselves, like Bosnia-Herzegovina and Kosovo. Bosnia-Herzegovina and Croatia are now real states and are recognized like real states, but Kosovo still isn't. And it started maybe like a really kick off the whole thing in Srebrenica, because many Muslims were killed there. But that doesn't mean that they really were against the Muslims at itself, but they were against the population who wanted their own states. So it didn't really have to do much with religion, but more with nationality and own nationality.
What is it? Ethnicity and the national sort of feeling.
Not ethnicity, because if you look at the ethnicity, the Bosnia and Croatia are more Slavic, Slovak ethnicity.
Yeah, so Serbs and Slovaks, which say we are different.
No, if you look at the history of where they come from, they are the same. Like in Albania, the half of Albania is also Slovakic ethnicity. So it's not really about ethnicity. It was just nationality in the end. But it happens because Islam was spread in the Balkan mostly in the 15th and 16th century. Many died because they are just happened to be Muslims, not because they were killed because they were Muslims, but they just were Muslims. It was a nationality thing in the end.
Mm-hmm. Am I correct in saying that the area I'm taking Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania, the whole ex-Yugoslavia, all the way into Greece, including Macedonia, that I would say that this is one group of ethnicity?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that because if you look, the best indicator is always the language of
Yeah, but then Hungarian is different from anybody else.
what is different?
Hungarian.
No, not really, because
Well,
if
I
you
mean,
look at the
what?
language,
Show me. Give me a language.
Hungarian,
Police.
Hungarian
I mean, you have police, you have Polizei, you have Polizi, you have Politi, you have. It's always very similar. Do you know what the Hungarian is for police?
no.
Rendőrség.
Hungary is interesting because it was with Austria together, so they had the two language in the same state. So it's a little bit special in the case of Hungary. So, but from the ethnicity, it's the same like
Okay, this is exactly
the
why I say
Russians.
this. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the whole thing. I mean, do you think that they could have just decided on, getting along with each other and saying, because, look, Czechoslovakia, they split without a single bullet being fired. Slovenia went out, and this was also completely peaceful. What made this Albanian, Kosovo, Serbs, what made this so different? Is it just that it's not religion, obviously?
I think the most important part is here the communism of the ex-Yugoslavia,
Yeah,
because
but Tito was the common enemy.
At Tito at that time, no. At that time he lived, no. That the whole issue came later with the years. At the time, Tito really put the whole Balkan together.
Yes, but it was like, okay, but the way that I see it, somebody like Ceausescu, he was a real asshole. But I think Tito was still seen as the common enemy by all the different ethnic groups and by all the different, what do you call them? I don't know what to call them because they're not ethnic groups.
Of course, today the people look at him as the common enemy, but at the time he wasn't. He clearly wasn't really a common enemy because he merged the whole Balkan together and against other European countries, against Italy and against Austria, etc. So he has put something together, but today he is looked clearly, like you say, like a common enemy. And why did this whole mess, this whole bloodthirsty thing? Well, if a government doesn't want to split up, of course, some groups who want to split up will use violence. But if the government says no, that's our land, that's our government lands in our nations, and we don't want to give it away, of course there will be blood on the streets in a war. So what can you say? I mean, it's the same like in Libya right now, or like in Iraq. They want land and they want their own land, and the other one don't want to give them the land away, etc. And then it starts to get bloody. It's always the same, I think. But it happens to be because the government is communistic, and the people of Croatia and Kosovo and Bosnia-Herzegovina are more Muslim majority. They make a whole religion issue about this, but in reality, it's not really a religion issue, because if you look at the past, the religion has had not really much to say in these countries. Now it has to say because money flows freely into this country, and they build mosques everywhere they can.
Instead of building factories, they build mosques. Okay. All right, thank you for that, because really I have so little knowledge about this region for some reason. I've never been involved in this, so I don't know anything about this.
But I would never call it genocide in Srebrenica. It was a massacre, yes, with I think thousands of dead in the whole issue, but that's not a genocide, I think.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because now this woman Miriam Sarab, she called it genocide, but she has this Muslim agenda thing that she looks at everything through Muslim glasses and thinks she needs to justify everything for Muslims. But she's weird. But now, the next question, if I go and look at what we saw in the news today, if I look at what is happening in the UK, is the UK a haven for Muslim crooks? I mean, why is it that so many companies, especially in the UK, are able to go and just defraud anything they want? There are so many charities, Muslim charities, which are trying only one thing, and that is to destabilize the UK. And the UK is paying them to do this. So my question is, are countries too naive? Or why is that? Come on,
Probably
is there nobody here who has an opinion about this?
No, that's because I am talking to you.
Yeah, but the funny thing is there's people here and nobody has an opinion on this? Come on. I mean, everybody
Maybe they
lives
like
in the
what
country, and everybody has Muslims in the country, and every Muslim is trying only one thing in that country, and that is to destabilize it and implement Sharia, and nobody has an opinion? I find that strange.
Well, because in the case of UK, maybe the government there knows the Muslims. If we want to get rid of the Muslims, we can do it tomorrow. Maybe they don't just give a shit. They just leave them do what they want, and as long as the Queen is not upset, everything is fine.
Yeah, but they want to put the Daesh flag on top of Buckingham. Come on. It's funny. They want to make it into a mosque. Can you imagine Buckingham Palace a mosque? My goodness.
No, I think the Queen has still to say, even if Al-Assad doesn't agree with me in this case, I think the Queen, if she says, I have enough of these Muslims, kick them all out of my country, I think the military and the policemen, everyone will do as she says. That's my opinion. I think she has still the power in her own country. She just doesn't give a shit, maybe. And same goes with the parliament and with the dukes and lords, and they just don't see the Muslims as a threat at all, maybe.
Question: how should countries react? What should the reaction be of countries when it comes to Islam? What should people do? No answer. I think we're going to
maybe
have a
the same like
today.
Maybe the same like what they should do with Christianity. Just ignore it and don't give a shit about it, and ridicule it if something goes too far. But the problem is people give too much attention in Muslim how do I say, in Muslim cases, in Muslim issues, like we had in the German show about the mother who has forbidden her daughter to drink, and that the teacher then, instead of, in my opinion, instead of say go home and we will talk with the school authorities and show you how it's done in this country, he calls the imam, and the imam has to solve this thing. That's, I mean, if a Christian child comes and says something like, my mother told me not to drink, most people just would laugh at it and just
they wouldn't
that's
dream
the
of
problem.
Contacting a priest. You're right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I never heard something like that. I never heard that a teacher called a priest in today's time to solve an issue with a child of his class. I never heard something like that, really. Not in my time, 20 years ago, and not today. Never. But in the case of Islam, you have to touch it with extra caution, extra
with
watch
velvet
out.
gloves.
Right. Yes. And
Okay.
to answer your question, just act like the same with Christianity, for example.
Well, I still see a difference between Islam and Christianity. Because Islam tries to tell us that it's the final, the last one, and there is nothing afterwards, and this is now it, okay? You either take Islam or you're going to see your ass. And then it says, look, because we're the last, and because we have the last prophet, and we have the last edition of religion, this means that you now need to submit, and you need to become part of what we are going to dictate to you. Well, and if they then start blowing things up, then that certainly catches my attention. So, and this is then where my last question comes from. Atheists. Should atheists react and respond? And if yes, how? Because here I'm thinking, okay, if I see this fool Hamza, and the even bigger fool, let's say, if I see these two clowns sitting there and spouting something about atoms and stuff, things they really don't understand, should I even react to this? Should I just leave them alone and have Muslims running after them and applauding and saying, wow, you are the greatest heroes and blah, blah, blah? Or should I really ridicule them? I do not know what is the best. And this is why I'd love to know people's opinion. Should countries react? Should people react? Should atheists react? And if yes, how? This is just a general question I have.
Well, you do it. I think you and Essence of Thought do the right thing. Ridicule and show the people how stupid they act and are.
And this
I
is the
think
question,
more
whether
you
this is the
can
right
do.
way of doing it. Should I?
Yeah,
Should I react?
what
Yes or
is
no?
what is
the
right, what
benefit?
is wrong? I think it's more wrong to just ignore it and to let them talk shit all day long.
Really?
Because if they say the whole time again and again the same lie, it comes a time that the lie becomes the truth, and you can't let this happen, I think.
Okay, so there should be a reaction, and it can very well be one where you say, okay, yes, ridicule. Well, because I can't take it serious. People have told me, yeah, but why are you always laughing in your videos? It's because I can't stop it. If I see these idiots sitting there, and I hear them talk about atoms, and I hear them talk about, I don't know, gravity, and they don't know what this is. They don't even know how to spell it. And they talk about it incessantly. I have to laugh. I think this is hilarious to see them sitting there. And the only thing I can do, I tried being serious, and it changed nothing. At least now when I'm ridiculing them, and I treat them with derision, now I'm getting a reaction from people. But now people are saying, even Tom Holland, he said, why are you being so supercilious, so arrogant about it, and mock them all the time? And I said, look, Tom, I can't treat them seriously. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's the way it is. We have a reaction from Maya 1784. That's a long time ago. I think the West should be strict like France. Okay, France is not being strict. France is only saying, okay, we have security issues here. You're not allowed to hide your face because this could mean that you are committing a crime. So I'm very sorry, this does not belong here. But other than that, they don't stop Muslims praying in the streets, even though they have very clear laws prohibiting them from doing that. And yet they are blocking the streets. I was in Paris the other day, and this was horrible. And this friend of mine, Patrick, he said it's getting worse and worse and worse. And he says they have now a weekend prayer tourism where people from other areas are coming to this particular spot in Paris just to make a point, just to irritate the authorities. And France is doing absolutely nothing with them. So, okay, so then if the West is being a little bit more strict by saying, okay, no burqas, no abayas, no chadors, no things like that, should that be an EU-wide decree? Should that be a law all over Europe?
No.
Why?
Well, because it affects also the other peoples who maybe just want to have fun and not to show the religion. I mean, if I look at Switzerland again, still in my county, in county Zurich, it's against the law to cover your face because of the seeing whom are you acting and interact and talking, and if something happens, you have to be recognized and should be
identifiable.
Right, but in the case of religion, they have the freedom to cover them up. Still,
exactly. In Germany, there's also a law. Which
I mean,
you're not allowed
how
to
stupid? How stupid can you be to say the religion people can do whatever they want and can cover them up, and if something happens, well, they had a religious reason to cover them up, and so we can't do anything against them. But if you don't believe in something in the imaginary God, you are the stupid one. You have to walk open, and I mean, laws always shows how weak the society is, and France is a good example, because France is, in my opinion, getting more and more fascistic in a way, and it affects all the people, just the Muslim people, not because, like you said, they don't give a shit. They pray on the streets and they go against the laws, and they they don't give a shit about the laws. In the end, if they are enough in a community, they I mean, you can't go with the army if they are not violent, and still they can go against the law. So what is the law good? What is this restriction? What are they good for? They are affect only single people or small groups, and not the big groups like Muslim communities.
Yeah,
so I don't think,
yeah.
I don't think it's a really good solution to make new laws and more restrictions, etc. I think ridiculing and make fun of the whole issue is way more effective to show how stupid something are, or some people are, maybe.
Okay, so what I hope is that you are right. Okay,
Right.
are there any other comments, anything else that anybody wants to say? Okay. Based on location, Maya is right. It isn't just Muslims who have a go if you're critical of the Quran. The world is full of benevolent. Okay, this is so true. This is so true. I mean, I was so shocked when I saw this guy, and I had to listen. I think I went and listened to this 3 times until I really, I was, in the beginning I thought, no, come on, you're getting this wrong. You're getting this wrong. I listened to it again, I thought, huh? I listened to it the 3rd time, and then I realized, no, shit, this guy is really that stupid. And I couldn't believe it, because up until now, I didn't have an opinion on Ben Affleck. I just thought, okay, he's an intelligent guy, and the way he comes across is somebody who does have a education background. And then he makes statements like that, and I thought, no, come on, this can't be true. That was amazing. Okay.
Well, just to say, I mean, again, in the German show last week, we had a case of a judge mixing up a race with the religion, and he what was in the word in English? Verurteilt and convicted the Swiss politician with race crime. He mixed up the religion Islam with the race. So
racism,
I mean, if a judge doesn't or wants to see the difference, how can you say for an actor like Ben Affleck? So be a little bit more friendly.
Okay, it's probably my personal expectation that was a little bit disappointed here, because I didn't think that the guy could be that stupid. That's why I thought, nah, come on. All right, should we call it a day for today? If there's nothing else for today, then okay, then this is something where we normally come to the Hadith of the week, and now Ike's, I mean, he's found something which I think this is going to save the Gin and Tonic show, because now everybody's going to come streaming in here, curious what the Hadith of the week is going to be, because this is absolutely fucking brilliant. I think this is so funny, and every time I see this, I cry, because this is so funny. So, guys, thank you very much. Let me just read. If you want to go to the Gin and Tonic show, come here. And next week, and on Thursday, I'm going to make an advertising video. Oh shit! But I have nowhere to put it. I don't have the Gin and Tonic show anymore. But I have Facebook videos. I don't know. I'll find something. We need to do something with this PR. You're right. It needs to be. And then if you want to come and watch this on VORM, then you go to live.godless.ch. If you want to participate, you go to hangout.godless.ch. And if you want to see the past shows, go archive.godless.ch. So we'll see you all next week. And now we're going to have the Hadith of the Week presented by our good friend Ali. According to several Sahih Hadith, like in Bukhari 765, 356 and 765, 663, but there are several others. Narrated Sa'd, Allah's apostle, said, "He who eats 7 ajwa dates every morning will not be affected by poison or magic on the day he eats them." That was the Hadith of the week, with the wisdom of Ali, who is reciting a Hadith from Muhammad.
Directly out of Mecca.
Straight from Mecca, straight from the horse's mouth. There you have it. Ajwa dates. These are a specific kind of dates, which is going to protect you against poison. What do you mean? He eats what? Google had a picture. I didn't catch that. Did you not catch the audio, or did you not catch the video, or what? One was moving around, a green Muslim? No, come on, please.
Well, that's what I said. That's the connection, because I have seen it clearly on VORM.
Yeah, me too. Well, not on VORM. Okay, I'm watching the Hangout. But
no, I've looked it on VORM, and it was perfectly fine. It's just the user connection to the.
I think it's so funny that you have this guy telling us the Hadith, which is much better than coming from Alasa or me or something. And that this guy is right. Maybe we need to work on the audio to make it slower, or to not put so much bass into it and only leave the trebles, so that the bandwidth is less.
Should I replay it? Maybe the people.
He who eats will be protected. That's why I always maybe we should put in text the source. Bukhari. Book 7, this is a specific kind of date. This is a fruit. So if you eat these fruits, you are protected against all kinds of poison. Muhammad didn't know this, even though he talked about it, because he didn't and was poisoned and died from that. It was only people not born.
No, GPS is lying. GP, you're lying. it was also on one. I'm saying it. I've looked it on one. Wait a second. I put up the text of the Hadith. So that people can read, because most of the people don't know anything about where was it?
What do you want to do now? Because GP said it wasn't, you couldn't see it. Anti-Strafhaus versus Green Goblin in close-up. It's not Green Goblin in close-up.
That's the Ali. We call it Ali. Next time I will do it with the text besides his pictures, and with the number of the Hadith, so that people can also read it. Just for the information.
85 ringgit. Thanks, Ace. I hope you're eating 7 every morning so that you can't get poisoned. Oh, this is so nice. 85 ringgit.
According to several Sahih Hadith, like in Bukhari 765, 356 and 765, 663, but there are several others. Narrated Sa'd, Allah's apostle, said, "He who eats 7 ajwa dates every morning will not be affected by poison or magic on the day he eats them."
I always fall off my chair when I see this. This is so funny. I think this is so brilliant.
Even Ali has to laugh about it.
Oh, goodness, this is hilarious. Okay, guys, next week we are going to have Ali take the whole show and read only the complete collection of Bukhari, the book number 1, for 2 hours. Oh, this is so nice. Thank you, Ike, for this. Thank you for making our day and making it a funny ending to the show. Brilliant. I love the Hadith of the week, and I'm hoping that we're going to have this next week again. Except maybe we should put the text or something. We'll think of something and reduce the bases.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.